Hi, how you doing? This is Craig Beck from StopDrinkingExpert.com. Welcome into the channel. If this is your first visit, please like and subscribe and comment below. I always try and reply, and thank you very much for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about the stages of alcoholism and how you know if you actually have a problem with your drinking. Because it's that time of year when people start questioning what they're doing and they start wondering, actually, do I have a problem? So let's talk about that today. Just want to remind you, coming up, my Quit Drinking Boot Camps, the most powerful, most effective one-day training course I've ever created, really helps people get back in control of their drinking in one dramatic, intensive day. First one coming up for 2019 is London on the 12th of January, Nashville scheduled for February. We got Toronto in March and just added Sydney, Australia in April. So if you want to come along, hurry because these always sell out. You can get tickets at the website, StopDrinkingExpert.com. So, people come to this video about the stages of alcoholism and how you know if you've got a problem when the narrative that we tell ourselves about our drinking starts to become a bit thin. Because intrinsically, we all know, we're kind of all programmed at a genetic level to understand that drinking poison for fun cannot be a benefit. It cannot be a good thing. No matter what the marketing says, no matter what we tell ourselves, drinking diluted poison doesn't make any sense to us. And so we have to create this plausible deniability, this web of lies that we tell ourselves and we tell other people to justify doing something so profoundly stupid. And so we say things like, well, you know, I'm just not very confident and I need it to socialize because I feel very socially awkward. Or, you know, it's not my fault. I have a very stressful job. And, you know, if I didn't have such a stressful job, I wouldn't have to open the whiskey every night. And, well, that's why I do it. Or, you know, when the kids are driving me crazy, they exhaust me. And as soon as I get those kids off to bed, that's my time. And it's the only little treat I've got to sit in front of the TV and open a bottle of wine or a six-pack of beer. And we tell ourselves these little stories and they sound perfectly logical and you couldn't argue against them. But unfortunately, there is one small problem with every single one of those stories, and that is they are bullshit. They are just nonsense to cover up a drug addiction. And I know that we don't like to talk about alcohol as a drug. People get very offended when you label their drug a drug. And yet, it's a substance that kills 3 million people every year. It is highly addictive, just behind heroin. It causes misery and devastation around the world. And yet people get offended when you call it a drug. This is all part of the insanity bubble that we live in the Western world. And what people tend to do is they tend to say, well, you know, hang on, Craig, stop being so melodramatic. Stop being a killjoy. Stop spoiling our fun. This is legal. I'm not doing anything wrong. And seriously, if you're using the endorsement of your government as some sort of validation for this, that's the craziest argument ever, isn't it? I mean, I don't know where in the world you are, but I'm British. I wouldn't trust my government as far as I could throw them. They're a bunch of half-wits. I wouldn't trust them to find their asshole with both hands. So the fact that my government says that alcohol is safe to be sold in the supermarkets means nothing to me because I don't trust them this much. So let's talk about whether you have a problem or not, because I get a lot of emails from people describing their drinking behavior and then asking, do you think I have a problem? Or do you think I should cut down or stop completely? And what they're looking for there is the permission of an expert to carry on doing what they're doing. Nobody really emails me wanting me to email back saying, yes, you've got a very serious problem, then you have to stop immediately. Nobody's ever looking for that. What people are looking for is permission, because the current narrative that they're telling themselves has started to fall apart, and so they need a better one. And so this is a huge issue. And it was actually a problem for me back in the day as well, because the first time I went to AA and I sat there nervous, and I was drinking like 2 bottles of wine a day at this point. And yet I sat in an AA meeting and all the people around the room were drinking a lot more than me. The guy to my right was drinking a bottle of vodka a day, full bottle of vodka a day. And I was thinking, wow, I don't drink that much. This woman over here, she was knocking back 3 or 4 bottles of wine a day. I was thinking, actually, I feel a lot better about my drinking now. And I left the AA meeting and thought, I'm okay to carry on because I've got a way to go. Let me tell you something. It is not about the quantity that you drink that dictates whether you have a problem or not. It is not the frequency at which you drink that dictates if you have a problem with alcohol. It comes down to one thing, really. And that is your alcohol use damaging your life? And if it is, then you have a problem. We did a boot camp in San Francisco back end of last year, and a guy came along. He drank 2 shots of vodka a day. That's it, never any more. And yet he flew across the country thousands of miles and paid his money to come to a quit drinking boot camp. Why? Because that was making him miserable. He hated that he had to do that every day. He just felt like he was out of control and he didn't like it. It was damaging his life. And so it's not about the quantity. Whether you drink 1 beer a day or 20 beers a day makes no difference. The question you have to ask yourself is that behavior, that pattern, making me miserable? And so if you're waking up most mornings and you're full of guilt and regret because you drank again last night and you started the day promising yourself and everyone around you that you wouldn't, if you've let someone down, if you're not being the mom or dad that you know you're capable of being, if your career is stagnating, if your relationship is going off the rails, and you can point the finger at alcohol, then you have a problem. Now, I'm not a doctor, and I make this very clear in my course and at my boot camps. I'm not here to give you medical advice. I am a coach who used to have a drinking problem. And what I'm very good at is showing you how the illusion is done. Because it's like, I describe it like this, it's like going to see Penn and Teller, and they do a magic trick for you. And the first time you see the trick, you're blown away, you're amazed, you're like, wow! But then they come back on stage and they show you how the trick was done. And in that moment, that trick no longer can be called magic. It becomes a piece of theater. It changes because knowledge has given you power. And it doesn't matter how long you live, another 10 years, 20, 30, 40 years, you'll never be able to see that magic trick again and be as wowed by it as you were the first time you saw it. Because you can't unlearn what you've been taught. It's like it doesn't matter how long you leave it, you'll never forget how to ride a bike. You can't unlearn that stuff. And so when you come to me, what I do is I show you how the illusion is done. And what that means is you can never look at alcohol the same way again. You can never look at it and say, it's just to help me socialize, just to help me give me confidence, just to help me get to sleep. You can never do that again. And you can say it to yourself as much as you want, but you'll never believe it again. And so that's what I do in my course. I help people who have a psychological addiction to alcohol. They're in a loop. So if you're the mom or dad who opens the beer as soon as the kids go to bed, and you do that every day, and it's starting to impact your life, your health's going downhill, your relationships are starting to fail, all these sorts of things, maybe you have financial problems because of the amount you're spending on alcohol and so on, then that's how I can help you. Now, the next stage of alcoholism is where you go beyond the psychological addiction to the drug and you enter the physical addiction to the drug. And there's a difference. A lot of people who are drinking every day are not alcoholics. And this is why there's a huge gap in the therapy system, because, if you have a problem with alcohol, what does everyone say to you? Go to AA. It's free. Oh, it must be good. But the problem is Alcoholics Anonymous is, guess what? Designed for alcoholics. It's not designed for people with psychological addiction, people who are in a loop with their drinking. And so if you go to AA, they'll tell you you're broken, you're weak-willed, and you have to give your problem to God, and you're always going to be an alcoholic, and you're going to be broken for the rest of your life. And It's depressing, it's hideous, and it's horrible. And for the most part, it's inappropriate. Because the people I meet at boot camp, they're not broken. They're not damaged people. There's nothing wrong with them. They're highly successful, loving, caring, loyal people. They're just in a bad loop with this addictive substance. So, how do you know if you're a psychologically addicted drinker or an alcoholic? And the answer is pretty straightforward, really. Alcoholics cannot go any length of period without having severe side effects if they don't drink. So an alcoholic has to drink, otherwise they start shaking, they get hot sweats, and various other serious health problems appear rapidly when they don't drink. If you're the sort of person who can go a couple of days without drinking, or you can, if you know, maybe in the past you've stopped drinking for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, the chances are, unless you've progressed, you're still in the psychological stage of alcoholism. And you're exactly the sort of person that I can help. If you are physically addicted, you need round-the-clock medical supervision by doctors. I can't help you. And if you come to boot camp, I will tell you that it's not going to work for you. Now, if you are psychologically addicted, then that's great news, because it effectively means you've caught this at a point where you can stop it progressing further into physical addiction. So what I would say to you, if you're worried about your drinking, first of all, forget about the quantity. Stop comparing what you're doing to other people. Doesn't make any difference. Stop comparing the frequency of your drinking or the speed of your drinking or where you do it. It doesn't matter whether you drink in a group of people or on your own in the house. Makes no difference. The big question is it making you miserable? Is it damaging your life? And if that answer is yes, then I encourage you to take action now. Not later on today, now. Because the best time to have dealt with this was actually 10 years ago. But that's gone, so there's no point worrying about that. The next best time is now. Because let me tell you that alcohol is a devious and insidious drug. And problems with alcohol never get better on their own. It's like quicksand. You know, if you walk into the center of a quicksand pit and start sinking, and then you start kicking and struggling to get out, what happens? You sink deeper. Actually, what you need is someone else to come along and reach out a hand and pull you out of the problem. And that is exactly the same with alcohol addiction. So if you're sitting here watching this video and you're at that point where you're just questioning your drinking, I encourage you to make today the day you do something about it. Please like and subscribe to this channel. If you go to my website, you can get a copy of my best-selling book, Alcohol Lied to Me, absolutely free right now, www.stopdrinkingexpert.com. And if you have any questions at all, just drop me an email. Always happy to help. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.
Worried about your drinking? Why not join us for a free quit drinking webinar? www.stopdrinkingexpert.com